Well, that's a different sound. Okay, the Z Lord podcast is here.
That's the Paul Mears beat.
That's the Paul Mears beat. Well, we were doing something different today, folks. Instead of the drum, Carter's got sticks.
We don't have the drum.
Banging. We don't have the drum. So there's Carter, and here's teZa, and welcome to the Z Lord podcast.
There you go.
Boo, 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 boo,
We're in a little
boo,
bit
boo,
of a different spot.
Yes, we're in the teZa Mahal.
And you're getting ready to go?
Wait, let me just tell the people about the teZa Mahal. That's my studio that my beloved Carter has created for me. Just like the Taj Mahal was created by whatever his name is.
It's a little bit like the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, a little bit. Except it's an art studio and a writing studio. So that's
Just
where...
a tad different.
That's where we're talking from. So if it sounds different, because we are very low-tech podcasters, let me tell you. We have an iPhone, and that's it. We don't do any editing, and what you hear is what you get.
There you go.
Every little burp.
So what's the subject
Cough?
for today, Tony?
Well, we're talking about... Everybody knows change is the name of the game, and everybody knows how difficult it is for some people. But what I wanted to talk about today is not just accepting that change is part of life, but to participate actively in it by doing something, maybe radical or maybe just a little tweak, but doing something that puts us outside of our normal comfort zone, or outside the box, as I call it.
So what are you doing?
Well, I'm getting ready to do exactly that. I am leaving very soon for a week with a women's retreat, which I have never done. I've done lots of spiritual retreats, mostly meditation and yoga. This is... The reason I wanted to do it was, well, first of all, it's a very good friend and a wonderful facilitator who's offering it, and I'll talk more about that during the week. I think I'll podcast when I'm down there because that'll be a special event. But I also wanted to do something that I normally don't do, which is to be with other women. And I'm usually the type of person where, because I've been a boater and a person who sails a lot in the Caribbean, doing things that a lot of women don't do, I've spent a lot of time being the only woman in a group of men. And all my life I've been challenged by female friendships. And a lot of powerful women that I talk to say they have the same issue. It's a challenge. And so I decided, okay, I'm just going to dive right in and participate with a bunch of women. I mean, obviously they're special women who would sign up to do sacred ceremony, which is the theme of this group. And it's going to be in Tulum, Mexico. And I'm going to be talking about it after Carter puts a little bit of his thoughts about, are you doing anything, Carter, to go outside the box? Oh, wait, you have an injury. So
I have an injury.
You're being forced. You're being forced to be outside your normal box.
That's right.
So you didn't choose it, like I'm choosing it. You're actually having to say, okay, God, this is what the universe has brought me. Maybe I did a little too much and I brought it on myself. Maybe not.
But I have to choose to have a good attitude. I have to choose to accept and find some other activities that I usually spend a lot of time playing games, and so those hours
sport games
are not
poker
involved. Plus the fun of that competition stuff that I like to do is now gone away. So I got to find something else to put in there.
Besides picking on me, you mean?
That's what I was going to ask you. If you hang out with the guys all the time, do you fight? Do you like to punch?
I don't let guys pick on me. That's for sure. I've been known to punch back.
You used to win arm wrestling contests, didn't you, in the Caribbean?
Yes. I mean, it wasn't a big deal when you were drinking in a bar with the kind of people I hung out with, which were really heavy-duty sailors and adventurers, and the drinking...
Well, those guys would be pretty strong. It's a surprise you could hold your own against those guys.
The drinking would usually end up in either some kind of a drinking contest, which I could also hold my own with, or arm wrestling. And it's funny, whenever there was a draw with the drinking contest, because I didn't really participate in those too much, because, those guys really drank a lot. And I can't drink that much. I don't drink at all anymore. I'm 40 years in sobriety. But they used to say if there was a draw, they would get down on the floor, and whoever could do the most push-ups, dead drunk, was the winner. And some of these guys, I'm telling you, like, they went well over 100 push-ups. So these were some pretty wild times. But anyway, that's the kind of stuff I'm writing about in my book. That's going to be very
Have you got a
soon
new book coming out?
Talked about. Well, not yet because I'm in the editing process. But that's the kind of stuff that I used to do and live with. So that being with females. And females usually get around and they talk about, their family, more modern females talk about their jobs and their ideas of the world. And my ideal type of female talks about consciousness and mindfulness and how we can elevate the group conscience, the collective conscience.
That's what these girls are going to do.
Well, we're going to be doing sacred ceremony and movement. So, yes, I think it's going to be a very unique group of people. Only 6 of us. It's a very small group. I think we're going to be bonded by the end of our week together, or
so this is
we'll be running away, like screaming.
So this is change. It represents for you a change in your normal things. You don't do these kind of things normally. You're not out looking for and going on groups. I know I haven't known you to go on groups.
I don't even do women luncheons. I don't do shopping. This last season, I was blessed to have a friend who broke her arm, and she said, "Tez, will you take me shopping because I can't drive?" I said, "Oh boy, I get to have an excuse for buying some presents because shopping is not my thing." And so she and I get along really well because she's a very high-minded person and not, just not a goofy person. But so it is outside the box for me.
I remember when I first met you, we went to the mall and you were driving, turned the car off, and your shoulders shrugged down, and you said, "Oh my God, I hate to shop."
And you said,
remember what I said?
You said,
"Will you marry me?"
Right. That's the first thing out of your mouth when you heard that. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm different than anybody else, but I am who I am, and I'm
But I think the idea
going with females is definitely outside the box for me.
Yeah, and change is good because we have, like, for instance, we have a change here, and I know other people experience too. There's seasons in life, and we had a bunch of friends here in town, and 2 or 3 different things happened back to back. One guy's wife died, and he was kind of the musician and the glue that held together, and then he left town, and then somebody else broke up, and all of a sudden the group that we used to hang together, everybody together, it just kind of broke up and it was over.
Yeah.
So that's it. The first thing happens is you don't realize it until it's too late, until it's already gone, and all of a sudden all this crowd that we used to hang and have fun with is not here anymore. Somebody else did something else that was really nasty to somebody else, so they went away. So that's a change. That kind of thinking.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. So, Carter, I want you to expound, like, what are we together and you yourself doing to replace this vacuum? Because that's a vacuum in our life. I know what I'm doing. I'm seeking out new friendships.
Well, you got a new friend.
I do. But
that's a whole nother
what are you doing?
situation. What am I doing?
What are you doing? Yes. You're playing music. Okay, that is not your typical ordinary music. You've put yourself in a different position.
Yeah, I'm playing a different kind of music with some different people. It's more the
Lawrence Welk group. I call.
She called me. She said she called me a Welker now. I said, "What do you mean a Welker?" She says, "Lawrence Welker," playing that kind of real, melodious kind of stuff. But it's okay. It's nice. We're having a good time.
Our group was always
these people are good musicians.
Our group
too.
was always into more jazz or spontaneous or more flowing, fluid. And every once in a while, the guy who has left town would break out into a well-known folk song, of the lyrics to which he knew a million. And so
Simon and Garfunkel was like
yeah, right.
And he was a real good musician and really nice to listen to because he's a great guitar player.
And so now you're reaching out, and I've seen you play with this heavy-duty rocker, which is not your cup of tea.
Oh my God, that guy!
And you're a conga player,
so wild.
So conga playing with So anyway, we do different sorts of things outside the box. when we see that life has changed, and we don't want to just feel sad. We don't want to feel like empty. Oh gosh, it was so much better back then. So, we're a creative, inventive sort, we human beings.
Well, the earth, everything is changing all the time. The only thing that does not change is God. God is the only constant in the world. Everything else is constantly dying, growing, birthing, changing. Everything's changing constantly all the time. And I think one of the keys to having a great life is being open to new stuff and looking at new things, and like when people.
But wait a minute, but most of all, having that relationship with the divine. And if one does not have that, then when change is forced upon them, either by society or the weather or just economics, then one really feels lost. There's a feeling of emptiness that people have if they have not established that really intimate relationship with the divine, however you call the divine, God.
Well, that's interesting. So what you're saying is that if you have the permanence of the same God all the time, which God also changes all the time as we get to know him or her.
Wait a minute, you just said the only thing that doesn't change is God. So
it doesn't change.
Your definition
but
of
we
God,
change.
Your definition of God.
Well, our understanding of the levels, like if you read, for instance, the Bible, and you finally understand a passage, the great thing about the Bible is that once you understand it, then it adds something else. It becomes something newer and bigger, and your understanding of it grows. And so in the change of our day-to-day life, if we have a permanent base of God in our life to which we can always go back to and always take comfort in and be part of, then whatever happens around us, we've always got that anchor. So
right.
That's what you're saying. And that's an interesting thing. I think that's true. I agree with that.
Yeah. And so, of course, change is going to happen, whether or not we want it to or not. And sometimes people change things on purpose. Like, let's say you wanted to lose weight. I mean, that's a change. If you don't do things on purpose, like limit your calories or increase your exercise or something, or, study to see how carbs are different than protein, that kind of stuff, change won't happen. It's just, it's a wishful thinking. But if one wants to really change, whether it's with your physical, your mental, or your spiritual, or economic, or romantic, or so many different ways, one has to do a little bit of effort.
Well, look how our daily life has changed. I mean, look how I remember when the fax machine came in our business. We said, "Oh my God, look at this!" And now then the computer. Now here comes the AI, and then there's the decentralization of the movie business. Now everybody and his brothers making their own movies and their own videos, and the TikTok and the Instagrams and the YouTube. I mean, it's just incredible how quickly. And so One thing to do is be like our friend Mort Soul. He doesn't even have an email yet. He was going to run for the mayor of Portland, Maine.
Who would want to be like that? I mean,
Oh, he's great. He's one of the great
he's having
people.
fun, but
he's having fun.
The average person needs to have communication.
But it's an example. It's an example of
his choice.
Of his choice and how he deals with that aspect of things. But there's just so much going on.
Wait. It sounds to me like, and I know Mort, he's not big on change. So one of the reasons that he doesn't do email or have a cell phone, and a lot of older people were like that when computers came in, and they either gradually, realized that there's a lot of attributes, good things, and Mort has maintained his steadfastness that no, he's going to just, use the telephone whenever he needs, and so he doesn't do change that well. A lot of people do not do change that well. They resist. I'm not putting him down or anything. I'm not judging him. I'm just saying that he doesn't know the benefits of them by his own choice. And a lot of people I know, most recently, it seems like a lot of people are complaining about the way things are, and they wish they could go back to the way they were.
In the political sphere, in particular,
economics and somebody even
kinds of things.
Somebody made a comment about the racial stuff, backsliding, and I don't see us as backsliding. I see us always evolving, consciously. And what to some people think is backsliding is their inability to see that the forward movement happens subtly sometimes, and maybe it doesn't make headlines.
It's not necessarily a straight line, and it doesn't necessarily look like a straight line. Things are breathing. There's an in and out of things, and but it's good. And in my view, the more I can accept what's real and what's going on, and accept new things, the better life is, and the bigger it is, and the more expansive, and the more opportunities. I like change. Like, for instance, when we go on a trip, for instance, a lot of our friends take these tours, and they're all organized, and so the spontaneous change.
Or they know where they're going to stay every night. Maybe not a tour.
And we don't do that. We do the opposite.
They schedule their
stops.
We
arrive, and then we just follow our nose. And so it's not better or worse. It's just different.
It's who we are.
It's just the way we do. But
just the way we do it.
But that's a kind of a change too. You just kind of take it as it comes, and so it's a way of life in one way, of just being open to change.
So being a spontaneous person is our choice. You know, we are, both you and I, we did not have to change our ways when we decided to become a couple. We two are one type of couple. We both like just having that serendipity of life, where you don't have to have every single thing planned ahead of time. But yet we work with goals. And, you know, when you're talking about a trip, yes, of course, you have to have a vague idea, you know, for making airline reservations and everything, but we just don't have every single moment delegated to an activity and all that. It takes a lot of the fun out, for me, the spontaneity of life and the serendipity of life, and just what can happen if you just let life be, especially when you're traveling in a new place and open to new things. I mean, if you're on a schedule, then a lot of it is too much of a pressure. You know, you have to be at a certain place, a certain time, and you have to cram all that in a certain day, and that's our choice not to be like that.
Yeah, it gives I remember Mort went on a trip around the country, a camping trip. Remember that?
This is typical.
He went on a camping trip, and so he planned out every single campground for a month. And so we were bewildered that somebody would do something like that.
Wait, they camped? I thought they just stayed at a motel.
No, it was a camping situation, because they were also having it be a frugal trip. And so when he got back, I said, well, how was it, Morton? He said, well, it seemed kind of busy. It seemed like we were always racing to make it to the campground before dark. And I said, Morton, the way to do that is don't have a campground. Just go until you're ready to camp, and then find a campground nearby. And don't have all of that, so that you're all scheduled in. But anyway, whatever. It's just a different way of being.
A lot of people who don't do that much don't realize how many campgrounds there are. I mean, you know, that's a different world for some people who are motel people or just not travelers. But if you use a GPS, which most people do, obviously Mort probably doesn't, but if you press in camping nearby,
I think he does. His wife
wherever you are, you get a lot of different little dots on your map. So, you know, there's many choices these days. There's not like just one place in a state. You probably didn't even know that, because he doesn't travel that much.
Well, there's a certain amount of trust about that you know, when you get somewhere, there's always a solution, and it's a way of thinking.
Right. So our way of thinking is to be spontaneous and to be like open to also guidance. You know, a lot of times I'm always amazed, Carter, because you just have this sense. I call it the geo-gene. When we first started podcasting, we were camping for 6 months, and you just always felt, by, I think, looking at a map, you just could figure it out. Okay, this will be a really good campground, and you zeroed in on places because of the way the land is, or close to a river, for instance. It's much better to have a campsite close to a body of water. And just so many times you just could pinpoint almost intuitively. Maybe it's psychic. Maybe do you think that there's a bit of a psychic thing going on?
I'm a special type. I like maps. Some people like maps. I met other people besides me that just interested in maps, like Richard Cook. God, he came to my house and he looked. He said, "Oh my God, look at all these maps." So he spent a day going through and taking a bunch of my maps. And then he went out on the river in St. John's around Florida. And then some people are just spatially oriented, and that's me,
Right.
and it's not you.
No.
You're not very good on that. But that's
I've
okay.
lousy
That's why
sense
you
of
got
direction.
me.
So we heard a nice talk about Harriet Tubman, who's famous for having
She
rescued so many people in the Underground Railroad after the Civil War, right? Was it, or just
During the
Civil
slavery
War.
times.
And we were the person who was talking, who was Carter's sister, Fania Helm. She's a very erudite, a Freudian psychoanalyst, but she was talking about the psychic abilities of Harriet in succeeding to help so many people, like something like 300 people. She helped escape to freedom, and that is so amazing to me because a lot of people they need to trust their psychic abilities, or call it intuition, or their hunches about things like what to do, what decision is coming up, how to manipulate life. And I think a lot of us need to be reminded that we can really rely upon our hunches and our sixth sense and our connection with the divine. And when your sister Fania was talking about it, she said that Harriet was very close to God. And I think the people who have a relationship with God, they have a far easier time with change, but they also get a lot of insights about how to fill in those new vacuums that happen all the time when one door closes and before another door has opened.
Seems to be in the intuitive world. I haven't studied it at length, but that's what Fania was saying, and she has studied it at length, and it's her opinion that part of it was curious that the different people that she was talking about, like Edgar Casey was one of them too, but Harriet Tubman had an intuitive sense about things, and she would not go into some places where there were going to be people that would capture them. And she even went so far one time as to lead a band of people across a river, walking across a river. And she didn't know whether the river was deep or not, if they drowned, but she was short and she led the way, and she just walked across the river, and it only went up to her neck, and they were able to get to the other side, and they avoided what later turned out to be a bunch of slave catchers, and they avoided these people just by her instinct of being tuned into another frequency of things.
Yeah. So it's a good opportunity, this topic about not just change in general, not just accepting that change is happening, but to be an active participant in helping to have new beginnings, new solutions, new ways of doing things.
Open to the spontaneous.
And to be more active and not just to wait for, life to come by and sweep us away. I mean, we can, for instance, excuse me, I came to a place where I realized, all right, this group of friends has disbanded pretty much. It's all changed. Things have gone this way and that way. Some have died and some have gone on to other places. And I said, I need a new girlfriend. So I went to, it was a women's meeting of AA, which I've been involved with for many years. And I just made my intentions known. I said, hey, gals, I'm here because I need a friend. I need a good friend, and not somebody just like to do the work that we do when we're being sober people, but somebody who I can have some fun with. And sure enough, this perfect person followed me out of the meeting, and we became, interested in each other in the parking lot. And to this day, it's a couple months later, we're having a really great friendship, and it's going deeper and deeper, beyond my wildest dreams, because I asked. And a lot of times, I think, like having new beginnings and creating new energy in our lives, we have to first get clear what it is that we would like to fill those empty spaces inside of us. And then once we have a good idea about what it is, to make it known, either to God, have a talk with God, this is what I'd like, or, just start talking about it to other people. And, I've often talked to some women usually, who are looking for a good relationship. And I always say, well, have you gotten really clear about what you're looking for? Have you made a list? And a lot of times they'll say, no, I'm not, I just haven't even thought about it. And they're waiting to see what life brings me. And I said, well, guess what? That's how I manifested Carter. I got really specific. I didn't know what he was going to look like. I didn't know what color eyes he was going to have. I didn't know how tall he was going to be. But those qualities that I was really looking for in a mate were what the divine brought me, because I got real specific and I said, this is what I want. And after I made that list, voila, you appeared in my life. It took about 6 months, but I knew the minute you walked into my life, I said, oh my God, you got to be careful for what you ask for, because you sent it to me, oh divine one. And you probably didn't feel that way about me, but I definitely manifested you. What do you think about that, Carter? You know that. We talk about it often. So is there anything that you have really created yourself?
You called me up the next
we
morning.
we don't have to
said,
go. No, don't go into the jokey stuff. Come on. Is there anything that you have manifested in your life where you got really specific about what you needed, what you wanted?
Oh yeah, I think doing blue sky thinking about your goals and stuff. Clearly, if you write down if you write down your goals, whatever they are, and you get clear about what you really want, and you get them down on a piece of paper, they definitely will manifest over time, and not necessarily in the next week, but they'll, all of a sudden your life will just orient itself so these things will manifest themselves in your life. If you're clear, if you can get clear about what they are, and just we have this little system where we write down 10 goals every day for 10 minutes, and you just have to write it down whether you think you can get it or not, and then you just keep doing that every day for 60 or 90 days, and things that you don't really want will go away, but then you get in touch with things that you didn't really realize that you did want if you do it right, and do it in a whimsical manner, and do it so that whatever you want could come whether you think you could get it or not. Like if you wanted to be president of Russia, you'd write that down for that day. So, and then after 60 or 90 days, all of a sudden you have a pretty good list of what you're really interested in, and then you just kind of start working on, well, how am I going to get these things? But what happens is the choices that you make, subliminal choices in your life, you start making them without even realizing it. The next thing you know, these things begin to appear. Like, for instance, I needed to make more money, and I kept coming up with, I need to make X amount of dollars a month, and I just can't do it because there's not enough time. And then by doing that, I realized, well, I got 80% of my time is taken up on something that's bringing me in 15% of their money. And I've been afraid to let this effort go because I need that extra money, and I don't want to get, but it was sucking up all of my time and energy. So I said, I'm just going to stop doing that. I'm just going to eliminate it. So I stopped doing it. So now all of a sudden, I got 80% free time in the day. Out of nowhere, that 15% of the money that I needed was not coming in, but I'd sit there with my feet up on the desk and then quietly think about, well, what can I do to make something else happen? All of a sudden, these ideas start coming in because I've got a little bit of a time to think about it. The next thing you know, I'm making double. In 8 months, I doubled my salary.
That's amazing.
Just by eliminating something that was really sucking me dry and choosing to just dump it and trust that something else, I could figure out something else that would come in that would do better. And that's exactly what happened. And it happens on all of those kind of goal type things. That's kind of the way they
well,
do.
Okay. You said a couple of important things I want to elaborate on. First of all, closing the door on things that are like sucking you dry, as you said, or creating a negative impact, or, just keeping you back, whether that is a bad attitude from your own self or from other people. A lot of times people...
If you can figure out what it is, sometimes it's hard to figure that out. You have to take
That's so
quiet
important
time
to do that.
and think about it and try to get clear about what's holding you back.
Yeah, and sometimes it could just be your
don't know
own
it's
stinking
holding you
thinking.
back.
Like, oh, I just can't do it. Oh, I just am not smart enough. Oh, I don't have luck or whatever. You know, when you have consciousness, when you become aware of your awareness, then we just keep expanding in what we're aware of. And like the other day, I was with my friend who's had the broken arm and took me shopping, and I kept poking her every time I wanted to tell her something exciting, and she said, "Ow! You know, that hurts my arm." And I said, wow, I was not aware that I ever did that. But in my excitement, I poke. I poke because, hey, I've got something important to share with you. Poke, poke, poke. So after the third time, I realized this is a habit. I mean, it's not going to kill me, but, you know, it's hurting my friend. So that was the first time I became aware of that. And I was amazed at how many things are like that in our own lives, whether it's our thinking or the way we navigate through the day, what we're eating, what we're reading, who our friends with are
Awareness is a gigantic thing. Is to becoming aware of what we're doing, and in my case of the money, I only became aware. I didn't even become aware that I was wasting all that time until I started realizing I had to have more money, and so what could I do? And then so it sparked me to be thinking about, well, what am I doing now? There's no time. I couldn't even do anything if I needed to, because I've just got too much going on. And then it became clear that, well, I'm spending all this time and not making much, but I'm doing it. So being aware is...
Our son is in pretty much exactly the
deal.
Same position right now, and I'm sure you're sharing with him all this stuff that you discovered from when you were in that position. A lot of younger people get in that position where they're just so busy that they say they don't have time to sit down and get quiet and to really look at what they've created in their energy dispersal, right? It takes time and effort. And would you say that you did it just in the course of a waking day, or did you have to do a bunch of meditation or writing?
You can. It's only 10 minutes. It doesn't take much time.
Oh, the goals. You use the goals.
Yeah, and then you just do it while you're having your coffee, and then it gets to be fun because now all of a sudden you're nosing around, mining things that are already in your mind, but you haven't really thought about them very well. So you just whimsically. And it becomes like an Easter egg kind of. If you can write down any damn thing you want to do, 10 of them every day, it starts to get to be fun. Well, I want to live in the Bahamas, or I want to have a yacht, or I want to climb Mount McKinley or whatever. And all these things that you think are way out of your ability to do, all of a sudden you put them on a piece of paper. That's my goal. That changes the way you think. And then once you start opening your mind that you can do things other than what you're just doing, that all things are really possible in this life, it's just a matter of whether we allow them to be, then that opens a lot of doors. And then not over today in 1 week, but over 6 or 8 or 10 months, you'd be astonished at how your life will reorganize itself so that you can do these things. And it'll just naturally happen.
So if anybody is interested in what Carter is talking about and the neuroscience of how it ties in with our brain, how we're actually wired to always do especially tribal things when it's not just for helping myself, but our family, our community, our world expand, become better. Dr. Jim Doty, who has written a second book, which I love. I just want to share it with everybody. It's called Mind Magic. And it really does explain that this is not just pie in the sky. This is not woo-woo, what we're talking about. This is not even what a lot of people call the law of attraction. What Carter and I are talking about is the manifesting of your deepest needs, desires, wants for the greater good. And James Doty talks about it in Mind Magic, and he explains the science, the neuroscience, how our brain is wired to accomplish those things. So it is not just a belief system, it is actually science, it is our physiology, because that's the way we have evolved. Since cave people, I mean, there's a reason why we survived and did not succumb when there were so many challenges and dangers and pitfalls and everything. And we are surviving, and we will survive everything, no matter what people are saying the ones who are freaking out about the change of life, saying, oh, blah, 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 they get into this negative thing and they feel this, it's the worst thing in the world. Well, I don't feel that way, and I don't think you do either. Do you?
Not at all.
No, the change that is
A lot of
happening
great things going on.
is change. There is a change. There's a sea change happening. It's not just the AI change. It's the evolution of our consciousness, the evolution of our ability to maneuver life.
And the efficiencies of the way the business is evolving, gosh, there's just unlimited possibility. And the only bad part of possibility is if we just turn into a grumpy bastard and have a down mouth attitude about it and resist.
That's no
As
fun.
long as we're open
Yeah.
to all the possibilities, then everything is possible. And,
Yeah.
and the world is just a great, wonderful place. And if that's not a possible thought, then think how small and tiny the world is in relation to the universe, and how nothing we are. I mean, we're everything and we're nothing all at the same time.
Right, that's a good way of looking at it. We're everything and we're nothing. I love your sense of humor, Carter. But it's not just because we are optimists, because Carter has a tendency to get a bit down in the dumps as opposed to me, but I've had my moments too. But I would say the one thing that we really, really share is the love and the respect of the divine in our life being number one. It is always number one. Our relationship with the sacred is the most special thing that we have. And as a married couple, when one of us forgets that, the other one lovingly reminds, right, ourselves
Well,
that's
right.
all that counts. Even if, like, terrible things seem to be happening on the outside of life, our relationship with the divine is intact, and it's whole, and it's real, and it's really just part of life. Whatever we're going through, the swing of the pendulum, whether it's a good time or a bad time or economically fruitful or frugal, it doesn't really matter as long as we have that connection to the sacred in life.
Yeah, and if we figure that whatever is coming at us is what we need to have come at us so that we can grow, and that's what we're doing here on Earth in the first place. We're kind of in a school of learning how to deal with issues and to choose well and to choose and go forward. And then at some point we have to accept what the Lord has for us also, and we work as hard as we can to make it the way we want it and to make it as right as we can. But at the same time, some of the things that befall us, we just have to. I have to learn to accept that. Hey, this is what God's got. It's like this injury that I've got. I've got this injury. Maybe I'm supposed to be working on patience. No doubt, that's probably what it is. That's part of the exercise of life that I need right now. So I'm getting a good chance to deal with it.
Maybe your new door opening will be life as a gardener rather than as a top athlete, which you're
Maybe
used
a big
to.
change coming for me. That's true.
You don't know. Anyway, folks,
Okay.
we love you, and we send out our respect and love. And if anybody has not told you today, let me tell you I love you. And we will see you the next time. I'll try to fill you in on what's going on with me and the sacred ceremonies with all
fun in
the
Mexico.
females down in Mexico.
All right.
Okay.
See you later.
Om Namah Shivaya.
All right.